had the best time yarn crawling with a friend a few weekends ago. Let me take you back to see some clips and photos of the 10 out of 11 yarn stores we visited, and afterwards I will show you what I brought home with me. Enjoy! I hope you enjoyed the little clip of all the beautiful yarn stores. You buy your ticket, if you can say so, at the first stop, at least on our trip, at Woolstock. This program is what you get, all planned out with metro stations and everything. Also a list of other beautiful and special shops nearby all the yarn shops. At Woolstock, you get this tote bag for all your yarns, and you get a little surprise with stitch markers in it and with Woolstock's logo on it. And then from there on, you can just shop all the yarn you want. I of course filled up this bag with beautiful yarns, not at Woolstock only at least, but at Woolstock I bought these 3 beautiful yarn skeins. I couldn't resist it. I am the kind of person that really does not remember very well. I can't mention any yarn brands or anything specific out of all of the shops we visited. But this one from La Grossa, Vintage Chunky, I could not resist. I had to buy it. At Woolstock, you can sit and knit. They have a little assortment of cakes, coffee, sweets, ice creams, things like that. And you can have a coffee and a bite of cake and sit and knit and chat with your friends. In the windows, there was chairs and little tables where people can sit. And also they had I don't know the English word for that, but they had a kind of a balcony where you also could sit in it and have a bite of cake or anything, a coffee or a tea. It's a very cozy yarn store, yarn shop, really, and I enjoyed looking around. And there was a lot of people there, and we were not also the only tourists buying a yarn crawl or starting a yarn crawl. So, and this yarn crawl you can also buy in English, not only in Danish. So it's very international friendly also. And after being on this yarn crawl knitting tour, I of course can recommend it. The next yarn shop we visited was Tante Grøn CPH. A very nice little cozy yarn shop, packed full of yarn. You take a few steps down, it's not a basement, but you have the feeling of being in a basement. Or yeah, you at least take a few steps down. And what I remember is that there was yarn everywhere. Maybe because also that the employees actually was unpacking boxes of yarn. So I mean, there was yarn everywhere. In Tante Grøn CPH, I did not buy anything, but because we were on a yarn crawl, I received this little gauge measurement and needle size measurement tool saying Tante Grøn CPH. So that was a part of the yarn tour free gift you can get at Tante Grøn CPH. I live in Odense in Denmark, and in Odense we also have a Tante Grøn, and that is why this one in Copenhagen is called CPH. At Tante Grøn there was a lot of yarn, and I got to feel the langyarn wire. It's a summer yarn. So that was nice. And also right next to langyarn wire, there was a book that caught my eye. The Danish title was something like Garnfarvning med syrefarver. It translates into hand-dyed yarns with acid dye or something like that. I did not buy it, but I think I'm going to have a look at it at the library and maybe wish for it for Christmas. And then in the back of the store, my eye was drawn to a wall of hand-dyed yarn. Actually, not only hand-dyed yarn, there was also Især yarn in skeins, but a little selection of hand-dyed yarns. Now I can't remember actually if there was any other brands, but the brand that they had on the wall of hand-dyed yarns was Bruun yarns. And I studied Bruun yarns a little bit after I got home. I cannot remember all of this, so I wrote it down because actually I can put in a picture of the yarn, the one skein that really caught my eye. It's a beautiful pink saturated yarn. All of the colors were beautiful, but this one really, I looked at it a lot, but I did not buy it because it's a hand-dyed sock yarn, and I really do not need more hand-dyed sock yarn. I can always purchase it online, no problems. But Bruun Yarns is actually an indie dye studio from Germany. And Bruun is short for Punk Rock Unicorn. That's a little funny name. Bruun Punk Rock Unicorn Yarns. And this company was founded during the pandemic or 4 years ago by a former tattoo artist and is based out of the Western Germany. They create these bold, artistic colorways inspired by creativity, individuality, and modern fiber arts. And their goal or mission in life is to bring colors into knitting and crochet and make it feel fresh, colorful, and contemporary, especially among younger makers. I just checked out the website and they ship internationally, so if you find something at Bruun Yarns, I will link below you like, feel free to purchase the beautiful hand-dyed yarns. Our next stop was at the yarn shop Kit Couture. I did not purchase anything or buy anything there, but I had a look at all of their beautiful. They had a lot of samples knit up. All of the yarn shops had samples knit up, but I think what I remember was that Kit Couture really had a lot. The first thing that caught my eye at Kit Couture was right next to the door. It was a summer top. I think the name was Sommerroy top, knit out of something linen-ish yarn. I would look at the webpage and see if the kit is available and put it on my wish list, because I would like to knit that summer top. Maybe not in white as the one they have knit up, but yeah, mint green or something else, summer like, maybe the butter yellow, pastel yellow. It could be beautiful also. So yeah, that was one thing. And then everything in Kit Couture is their own yarn brand and their own patterns and designs. You will not find yarns in Kit Couture from other brands or patterns from other designers. But I would like to do cross stitch or embroidery. I do not know the difference actually, so that is how little I know about embroidery. But there is a brand called Baldur, and they make beautiful embroidery or cross stitch patterns for pillows and little bags and stuff like that. And all of the pillows I looked at Kit Couture looked like Baldur, the same graphic theme. So beautiful, really so beautiful. So that might be something that I could have a look out for also and wish for, but I need to learn a new skill then, so not right now. But yeah, it's a little shop, very minimalistic in how they present the things, but a beautiful little yarn shop with their own brands and own kits and own patterns. After a bite of lunch, we went to the next yarn shop. It was Bruun Strik, and I just looked back at the photos right now because the only thing I remember more or less from Bruun Strik was the cardigan or wrap that I tried on. They, like the other shops, had a lot of samples knit up, and to the right of the entrance there was a little couch and a little table, and on that little table a sample was placed of the Villa wrap by Anne Wenzel. You have seen me try the cardigan on in the clips, but here it is again, and I tried that cardigan on and I just fell in love. It was size 2, and it was the perfect size and the perfect colors. So I went to their Gepard shelf with Woolia because it was knit out of one strand of Woolia from Gepard yarn and one strand of kit Zeta. So a wool yarn and a silk mohair. Now I cannot remember the color, but I could not find it. I asked the employees, and she said that it was a discontinued color that the sample was knit out of, but it was beige, off-white beige neutral colors. So I looked and I looked and I looked, and I could not find anything on their shelves, and I could not find the kit Zeta from Gepard. They had a lot of other silk mohairs, but not from Gepard. So I purchased sweaters quantity, cardigan quantity of Woolia and kit Zeta, but unfortunately not at Bruun Strik. We agreed, Tina and I, we agreed to sleep on it, and because next day we would visit another yarn shop that also carried Gepard yarns. So at the other yarn shop, I will get back to that, I bought this. It's not the same color. This one is very pale peachy, and this one is, a cold off-white beige thing. And together maybe they would give me some of the same vibes, hopefully. I am so much looking forward to that. So the Villa wrap that Bruun Strik had knit up was in these 2 yarns from Gepard. I don't even know if it's a Danish yarn brand. Actually, no. The sheep is an old local Italian merino breed living in its original habitat, Puglia, Italy. So the yarn is actually Italian. One strand of each to make a beautiful Villa wrap by Anne Wenzel. I looked at the photos now, and I can see that Bruun Strik is, I like that. That was one of my favorite yarn stores, but I did not look at much of the yarns. I just had this one on my mind, and I just followed Tina around. But they have chaos yarns, they have hand-dyed yarns from at least Sysleriet, and they had Især yarns and Gepard yarns. A lot of yarns, a lot of things. Very beautiful and very well assorted yarn shop in Copenhagen. Definitely visit Bruun Strik if you are visiting Copenhagen for yarn shops. Now we are close to the end of the first day. Hello, Tomle. Are you hungry? We had a beer and met up with a friend of ours and went to the last 2 shops, which the first one of them was Samværk. Samværk is a little tiny but cozy, and not that tiny, but a little yarn shop where you also can buy a coffee and a cake and sit and knit, kind of like Woolstock. So very cozy environment in the back of the store where you can sit and knit. I did not buy anything at Samwerk. They had a lot of brands that I did not know much of. I know the name Navia, but I do not know the yarn. But they carried Navia yarns and they carried, I can't remember. But two things caught my eye at Samwerk. In the corner of the shop, they had a little assortment of local wool yarn from sheep's grazing in Copenhagen at Sydhavnstippen. I will put in a picture where you can read the English text. I did not buy it. I looked at it for a long time. It's a perfect souvenir yarn, but it's, yeah, I just couldn't think of anything to make of natural wool yarn at the moment. But I would pass on the tips. So if you are in Copenhagen, it's very close to the train station at Uldstedet. So if you are looking for a souvenir yarn from Copenhagen, the wool is from the sheeps at Sydhavnstippen, and it is spun at Hjelholds Uldstedet, also in Denmark. Yeah, that was the one thing that caught my eye, but I did not buy it. And then on the way up to the back of the store, they had some buttons from Buttons de Paris. I don't know if it's the correct saying, but it looked like small vintage buttons, ceramic and it's my dog. Ceramic buttons and other buttons also. They looked, yeah, different and exclusive, if you can say so. I like the buttons from Buttons de Paris. But yeah, I did not buy anything there. I just had a look around, and the next store, also on Uldstedet, I don't think I even took pictures from. It was a very tiny little store. So yeah, that was the first day at Yarn Crawl in Copenhagen. Day 2 of our trip. We had planned to visit first Nicoline Yarn and then Nicoline Garn, and then Knitting for Olive. But we bought yesterday, day 1, when we started, a 24-hour ticket for the metro. And that meant that at 12 o'clock, day 2, the metro ticket was not valid anymore. So we had a little time pressure on day 2, and we needed to actually drive far with the metro. So we switched Nicoline Garn and Knitting for Olive because of where they were placed on the metro card. And then we walked to Knitting for Olive and met a closed shop. Knitting for Olive did not open until 11 that day, at least. So we never visited Knitting for Olive. I'm okay with that. It's I have seen pictures and videos from that store a lot. I know a lot of people are very fond of Knitting for Olive, and it is also nice yarn they have, but yeah, I was not planning to buy any of the yarns. I did not have a project in mind. It would be nice to see it, but I have seen it a lot, and I know that the minimalistic style is not at all what I think is cozy in a good yarn store. So I was not that sad, and we went back to the metro and a little bit up and visited Nicoline Garn. At Nicoline Garn, I mostly looked at if I could find some mohair, silk mohair for my villa wrap. I could not find anything. I did not look at anything else specific. They had a lot of drops yarn, I think also Sandnes yarn, and yeah, regular yarns, known brands for me at least. But in one of the windows, there was something that caught my eye. It was a blue purse, a little handbag, and I did not look up what it was made out of and yeah, what pattern it is. But it looks on the picture like it's a blue mohair and a blue palette or sequence yarn. So beautiful, and it has a little zipper. It was so beautiful. I don't think I will ever knit a blue purse like that because I don't know when I should use it. But blue is my favorite color, and that was a really beautiful little purse or handbag. Next up was a visit at the little yarn shop Søernes Garn. That was a very beautiful walk, of course, nearby the sø, the lake, one of them at least in Copenhagen. This was also a little yarn shop, and I just had a look around. Nothing specific, but at that yarn store, among a lot of the others we visited, they had Sandnes Garn, and I again grabbed a ball of Peer Gynt tweed in this navy blue tweed color. I can't remember the color number, but it is so beautiful. I think I need to knit something out of that navy blue tweed Peer Gynt yarn. The next yarn store we went to pay a visit was Uldstedet. I was on a mission to find Woolja and Kitseta from Gepard Garn for my villa wrap, and I found it. You have seen it, so I will not show you again. So that was quite of my time I spent searching for these two colors, but two things besides all the beautiful yarns. They had also a nice selection of hand-dyed yarns and yeah, Isa yarn and a lot of yarns, and it was a really nice store, and the employees also very nice, sweet, helpful people. No discount, unfortunately. I thought I had 10% because they were part of Woolstock Yarn Crawl, but no, I did not. So I paid full price for Woolja and Gepard Kitseta. That doesn't matter, I got it. But two things caught my eyes. In all of the yarn stores, no, let me begin from the start, or not from the start, but let me tell you, you know maybe, but I am a sock knitter. I'm not only knitting socks, but I'm knitting a lot of socks. And in all of the yarn stores, I have looked a little bit at sock yarns, and I have taken little pictures of them, and most of the ones that I found I knew. But here at Uldstedet, I found Infinity Sock by Lane Du Nord. That I did not know, that brand, and it was a very vibrant self-striping sock yarns, beautiful vibrant colors. And they now I did not know because I could not see out of the ball, but I found a picture online, and it self-stripes a lot on the leg and not on the foot. That's that I haven't seen before, and now I regret not buying the ball or one or two balls of Infinity Socks, but yeah, hey, I can buy it online. And the other thing, I took some pictures where you can see the bags on top of one of the shelves, and I think maybe they had one or two in the window also, but I found a picture where one bag was on the top of a little shelf. It looks like handmade or hand-painted bags, and they are just so pretty. I did not buy one because I really have a lot of project bags, but yeah, I think they look beautiful. So that is what I brought home with me from Uldstedet. A lot of yarn for my villa wrap, and the memory of a beautiful sock yarn and some beautiful project bags. Yeah. The very last yarn shop we visited was Sommerfuglen. I have never been to Sommerfuglen before, but I have been in Copenhagen several times. And actually, Sommerfuglen is the most central, I think, yarn shop, besides the two on Uldstedet, so close to the shopping street Strøget, and a very beautiful yarn store. They had a lot of, they had a little department or a corner of the shop with a lot of embroidery things. So of course I looked a lot around there, and actually I found some kits for making blankets under your Christmas tree to embroider yourself. Very cute. Yeah, they also had pillows under the counter with embroidery on. I just love it. I think I need to learn that skill and embroider a pillow or a blanket for my Christmas tree. I did buy one thing at Sommerfuglen because in all of the other yarn stores I asked a few times and forgot a few times, but I was on the hunt for or search for a sock needle, 80 centimeters for magic loop in a 2.25 millimeter. And I found one at the last shop, finally. It's a Addi sock needle, or Addi circular needle, not sock needle. And I do not know, it says here 10 years warranty. I do not know how this is, how you're doing that, because I know that my Addi needles, I'm not sure it's the same Addi needles, but I think so. It's a red cable, but I don't know if you can see it. The tip, one of them at least, is bent. It's not straight anymore. Maybe it's my knitting style, but I tend to put pressure on my needles when I knit, apparently. With this finger, I'm pushing the needle and it's making it bend. This is also Addi needles, and also it's not silver all the way. So yeah, I don't think it's stainless steel, because then I would not be able to bend it, would I? And that is why I would like Chaogu needles, or the Mindful needles from Knit Pro. But this was what Sommerfuglen had, so this was what I bought. I will try it out, and if it's also going to bend, I could search a little around and check that 10-year warranty out. Yeah, that was all from my trip, my yarn crawl to Copenhagen with my friend Tine. We had a very nice weekend. Saw a lot of yarn, visited a lot of beautiful yarn stores, and I can definitely recommend it. If not the Wool Collective Yarn Crawl, then do a little research yourself and pay these beautiful yarn stores a visit. Maybe there's other than the 11 yarn stores on her map, on her tour. I don't know, but we did not at all have time for more. We visited 10 out of 11 yarn stores in one weekend, 2 days. I think that's a lot. Actually, she says you can do it all in one day if you do not spend more than 20 minutes in each store. Yeah, I would think that would be to rush it. When do you have time to eat and drink a beer and just sit and enjoy the sun, having an ice cream? Yeah, so I think you should do it if you are in Copenhagen and are looking out for yarn and yarn shops. Check out Woolstock, sorry. Check out Woolstock's program, or just check out the yarn stores. Pay them a visit. Until next time, happy knitting. Bye.